Hello, 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 you gorgeous human being. It is Suzy Ashworth here, and you are listening to the Infinite Receiving podcast. And I am so excited for you today. I've got a juicy one. You know what it means when I use the word juicy. I've got a conversation with a dear friend, I'm going to say friend, and mentor and inspiration, an incredible human being. Her name is Melanie Ann fucking Layer in the house.
What an intro. Hi.
How are you doing?
I'm so good.
Yeah.
So good. How are you?
I am, I'm okay. I'm not the best that I have ever been in this specific moment in time. I've had a little wobbly morning, but I am super grateful to be in your energy and in your space right now. And it also feels really good to be able to very specifically acknowledge like where I am at with truth and authenticity. And I would say that this is one of the many gifts that I have worked on since being in your space. So, for those of you who are new to the podcast or who are new to my newsletter, oh, we've got a gate crasher. She's gone. Okay, so for those
What
of you,
happened?
Katie was just testing the link. But anyway, we'll edit that out.
That's awesome.
For those of you who are new to my world, new to the podcast, or new to my newsletter, you will not know that I actually worked with Melanie. Melanie was my mentor for 2 years, which is a really long time. So people in my world have heard me reference her for an extremely long time. And what feels good being on the other side of the mentorship is being able to really identify the things that I've taken with me and the things that continue to deepen and continue to grow. And I think that being myself and knowing that that is enough and good enough in all ways, always, is one of the things that you taught me. And I suppose I'm curious to know, when did being yourself, and being your best self, become a focus for you?
Well, those are two different questions, and I'm going to answer them both. So, I had a very clear for the how woo-woo is your community on a scale of 1 to 10?
Oh,
How much they believe in their spirituality, madam?
all the woo, come on.
All the woo.
Yeah.
Okay. So, my journey kind of hit rock bottom before it started building. So I had this moment of like, is this it? Like, is this my life? I was 25 and it was like, if this is it, I don't even know that it's a shame that I go. Like, this is just bad. This was a failure. Like, I did not understand the assignment. And something happened throughout the course of about a year in my life where so many different awakenings hit me. But one of the things that really started percolating for me was the thought the strongest frequency on earth is the frequency of truth. And at first, I didn't know what that meant fully. I just thought it meant I needed to be honest with myself. There's things I needed to make peace with. And so I did a lot of superficial work around that sentence for a while until I got what it really meant, which was that who I am is the strongest thing about me. It doesn't matter who I wish I was. It doesn't matter that I wish it was more or better. None of that actually matters. It doesn't matter if I pretend to be more or pretend to be less. What I really am going to create is the exact energetic match that is the truth. What's the truth? And so I realized that instead of trying to look better than I was, which seemed to have been the journey of my life until that point, it was about really embodying the truth of who I was and then working on that truth. to make it actually that I was better, not that I appeared to be better, which was seemingly the strategy up until that point. What do I need to do to look more successful, to look more intelligent, to look more caring, to look more giving, to look more nice? What do I need to do for people to get it instead of, is it the truth? And so there's been a two-part thing for me. The first one being, regardless of what it looks like, the truth is what it is. So make sure I'm very clear on what that is. And the second thing is, can I make that truth an even better and greater truth for me, for you, for us, for me, for my clients, for the world, for me, for my family, for the world? Can I work on bettering myself, but not from a superficial place of needing people to think I'm more, from an actual, the truth is all that will matter anyway, so can the truth get better?
How do we know what the truth is?
You just know. Like, unfortunately, sometimes the feeling is like, if you feel into yourself and you take a deep breath and you ask yourself, what's the truth? Am I doing okay? Am I doing well? Am I doing good? Is this good what I'm doing? You'll answer yourself. Sometimes the answer sucks, but sometimes you're just mean to yourself and you're not taking care of yourself, and you're wishing you were better, or thinking you should look better. But if you really are nice and kind and loving to yourself and you ask yourself, how am I doing? Like, really taking into consideration what your life is like and what real things may have happened to you and real human life may have happened. Like, how am I doing? Sometimes you'll think, you know what? I'm so freaking hard on myself because I'm doing great. And other times you'll think, you know what? I think I'm being complacent. And that's the truth. And the fact is, people, they tend to figure out rather quickly what we're capable of effortlessly, and they won't give us a standing ovation for that. People know so quickly. Like, when I first started being really successful, it lasted a little moment that people were like, "What? Oh my gosh, this is crazy." And then after that, it was like, "Well, yeah, of course it is. It's you." It stops being impressive when it's who you are, because it's just strong and it's the truth. And so the thing is, a lot of human beings are constantly looking for validation, and they're not asking the question properly. They're not asking, am I doing good? Like, is this enough? Is this the best I've got? Am I proud of me? They're saying, does it look good enough? Should I be doing more? Am I getting the validation and the recognition that I want? So far less about, is the truth that this is my best, or is the truth that I could do better, but am I getting as much recognition and validation as I want? Should I be doing things differently in order for people to notice me more? And those are two very different ways of looking at life.
So what I'm hearing is that the answer to that actually doesn't lie in the external evidence. And in fact, the
Mm-mm.
external evidence can often be deceiving. It is the
Oh yeah.
internal frequency, it's how you feel on the inside. And are you really willing to be honest about how you feel on the inside?
Because whether you're honest with yourself or not, it's still the truth. And it's
Yeah.
still what you're a match for.
Ooh, when you first said that, the question that was in my mind was, is the frequency of truth stronger than the frequency of love?
I think the frequency of truth is the frequency of love. I think that truth is like what is. And so, how much love do you have for yourself? How much love do you have for the world? How much love do you have for your work? How much love do you have for your expansion? That's the truth. Whatever it is that you're looking at, there's a truth to it. So if you're looking at the frequency of love, what's the truth of the frequency of love? Not what you wish it was, not what you want it to look like, not what you wish you could make yourself believe it is, not how well you can represent it. What's the truth of it? If you want to look at the frequency of wealth, not what you want it to look like, not what you want other people to think you've achieved, not what you want to feel about what you've achieved, the truth of how it resonates in your body. How are you doing? Is this it? And I feel like this brings a level of maturity to the conversation, because it's okay to feel like there's more within us. It's just that doesn't really become accessible when we're self-deprecating and constantly saying that we should be further ahead, or we're we're not good enough. It's like, what's the real truth? The real truth is this is freaking phenomenal, and I know there's more within me. That's going to manifest you a very different life than this is not enough. I don't know what's wrong with me, and I should be more advanced by now. And so there's a way to talk to ourselves that's full of potentiality and truth and matter of fact, squeaky clean energy that can really draw in anything and anyone to us. And then there's an energy that's just very self-deprecating, and honestly, it protects us from potentiality because it's like, here's the sentence I tell myself that keeps me exactly the same. So really, I'm safe in that, even though it's not what I want. Disappointment actually hurts less than failure. So let's just stay here and not move and manage our emotions. But then if you really look at what's the truth, is this really what I want? Is this the correct way for me to behave? Is this really what's best for me? You might find a totally different answer. But that's not how we tend to look at ourselves or talk to ourselves. We say, should I be doing better? Is this really my best? Am I good enough? What's wrong with me? And those questions will very rarely pull out the truth. They'll pull out a self-deprecating story that makes us feel meh.
So, for the people that are listening, the question is what is the truth of this here? What is the truth? And then, when you're looking to stretch into the potentiality, like what don't I even know is possible? Like, what is the more? Is what does the truth get to be, or something else?
Well, let's say that I'm here today, and what I really wish was that there was more romance in my life, more love in my life, and more financial success in my life. So the truth would be, if I'm really honest with myself, I would say, ah, I love what I've done. Like it's incredible what I've done. And I want more love, and I want more money, and I want more success. And that's the truth. And so with that, then I say, okay, so let's get to it. Like let's focus more on the money. Let's focus more on the relationship. Let's focus more on the truth, either through mentorship, either through personal practices that I may have put aside. It's like there's just a matter of factness to it, you know? If I do the other thing, I say, I mean, sure, it's good, but I could be so much further ahead and I could have so much more. And I feel like if I had these things and those things, then I might do this and that, and I would feel this way and that way. And so I don't know what to do. None of that's the truth. And then we're stuck there because, okay, what do I do? Okay, let me hire a mentor and let me see if they have the answer for me. Oh, they don't have the answer for me. I knew it. Maybe I'm just not good enough. Lies, 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 lies. Nothing moves. In the matter of factness of it, it's like, I want to do better in this area. I'm proud of what I've done. I know I can do more. Let me just go do that. Let me stretch my mind. Let me look at where there's a part of me that's maybe not fully leaning in. Where am I afraid I'm going to fail and I'm playing small? And let me stretch that. And is there someone in my life that if I spend time with them stretches my mind? Well, let me do that. And oh, but what if it kicks up some stuff? Because this is the other part that I think a lot of people don't think about, is that anytime you want to stretch yourself, you're inviting the universe to say, stretch me. And there's so many ways that God responds to stretching you. Sometimes it hurts. Sometimes it's like, it's not what I meant. It's like, well, it is what you meant. Because if you wanted to be strengthened, then this is how we do it. You stretch. And so are you really even willing to have the things that you want? Is it even the truth that you want those things? And so this is why I say it comes with such a level of maturity, because everyone can say, I just want to have more. It's like, but then you'll have to be stretched. Do you want to be stretched? No. Well, okay, so contemplate this a little bit. Like every time I've said I'm ready for more, it has come with more. And it has not always been a walk in the park kind of more. It's not just like I'm ready for more, boom, falls on your lap. Because if you're not the kind of person yet that's available for more in your body, if you can't hold it in your nervous system, if you're just going to sabotage it if you receive it, it's not time yet. You've got to stretch so you can hold it. This is It's like a little kid that wants to hold its own mug, you know? I want to hold it myself. You're like, well, let me hold it with you because you're going to drop it everywhere. I want to hold it myself. I know you want to hold it yourself, but if I let go of it, you're going to drop it everywhere. No, I want to hold it. It's all over the floor. Of course
Yeah.
it is. Because we know, and the universe knows, and God knows, it's like you're not ready to hold it yet. Let's just learn, but we want it now, and we think we're big enough and ready and all the things. And we can test it. It's just if it's not ready and it breaks, we've just got to say, okay, a little more stretching. And that's the maturity that's required, is that failure doesn't mean we're not good enough. Failure means it's not ready, and that's okay.
I am curious. You use the word squeaky clean with your energy, and at the same
Yes.
time, you talked about wanting. And from a law of
Hmm.
attraction perspective, the word want is an interesting one because when we talk about wanting, we are predominantly in the frequency of the absence of it, like the thing that I desire is not there. And so I'm curious about your
Hmm.
use of the word want and still being able to keep your energy squeaky clean. So, like, what do you mean by squeaky clean energy? Because I feel like maybe if I'm wanting, then maybe my energy is not so clean.
That's a really good question. So I think the idea, and you know me, I'm very energetics. It's all about the energetics. And so I don't think you can use a wrong word. I think you can use a wrong energy, and certain words are attached to certain energies. So I've been doing this for a really long time in my life, and I could say I I need in the right frequency. Like I could use any word in the right frequency. And I think the reason in the books and in the teachings that people are speaking to don't say want, it's not the right word, is because want is a very childlike word. When you have a little kid that wants something, they don't say, I desire a hot chocolate. They say, I want a hot chocolate. I want Christmas morning. I want that. I want to have that. It always comes with a sadness and a lack feeling when a small child wants something. And for a lot of us, even when we're grown up, we're coded with the same energy inside of that word. But for me, that's just not there anymore. So I could be more responsible with my words when I'm sharing them, just so that people who are listening are not like, oh, wait, I was taught not to say that. But I would say that there's nothing in the world where the word that you say is going to sabotage you. It's really the energy that you say it in and what you mean when you say it. And so I think what I said was, I want more, which is different than I want, because I want means I don't have it. I want more of means it's already there. But I think that's the biggest difference energetically, is it comes from a place of I get to have. It's not I don't have and I wish I had and I can't and I'm not good enough and I don't know how. It's like I get to have that. And it's the same thing as being at a restaurant ordering on a menu. You know, you go to the restaurant, you look at all the things on the menu, and the waiter says, so what are you having? And you'll say, oh, I want the lobster pasta. And that doesn't mean I'm in lack of the lobster pasta, because when you say it in that moment, you're like, no, 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 no. I know exactly what I want. Oh, you know what I want? I want a glass of sparkling rosé. That's what I'm in the mood for. Yes, yes, yes. That's what I want. And so it's learning to reframe the energetics of language in your body rather than trying to change the language. Because I think a lot of people try this superficial approach to manifestation and they're like, okay, so I'm never going to say want again. And I'm never going to do this again. But ultimately, the energy doesn't change in their body and the same results come over and over again. It's more what's the frequency of truth? Is the frequency of truth in the word want lack? Because you could do that with desire. I can play the game of saying I'm never going to say want again. I'll say desire instead, but I can code desire with lack as well if I want, if I haven't healed the thing. So I feel like you either change the meaning of all the words, that you just no longer touch that frequency of lack anymore, or you try to dupe the universe, try to dupe God, change the words and call in the same energy anyway.
Yeah. So, what does it mean to have squeaky clean energy?
Squeaky clean energy means there's nothing in there that I'm not trying to override anything. So I'll give you an example. You'll notice when you learn the law of attraction, there's always this feeling or fear that you might do it wrong. And that comes from a frequency of truth. The mature frequency of truth of the fear of doing it wrong is that you don't know it yet. But we don't like that one. We just want to say that we're afraid of doing it wrong. That's not squeaky clean. Squeaky clean is, I'm just beginning this and I'm practicing. That's the truth. That's squeaky clean. If I say, I really desire to have more money, and I know that I'm saying it this way because I read in the book I'm not supposed to say want, that's not squeaky clean. But if I say, I'm really grateful for what I have, and I'm working on reframing my energetics around the word desire, that's squeaky clean. So it's basically a mature approach to the truth is what squeaky clean looks like.
Yeah. And feels like in the body, always spacious, or not always, actually?
No, no. And that, I think that's why so many people avoid it. So the body, the body is the guidance system. You can you can train your mind to say different things, but you can't train your body to feel different things when there's a feeling present in your body. You've got to listen. The body is like the big flashing lights. You know, the mind will give you a little sign, don't pass here, it's under construction. The body will be the big block in the road with the big flashing signs, detour, you can't pass, you can't come here. And so often we think if I override my mind and I override my feelings, I'll be able to do the thing, but you're going to get another block. It doesn't just go thoughts, feelings, results. There's something in your body that will stop you if you feel like you're in danger. There's something in your body that'll stop you if it doesn't feel like you're ready. And I feel like a lot of people in wanting and so badly wanting to have results will override that body thing and try to work through it. And that's where a lot of the overwhelm and the burnout and the masculine energy comes from, is when you override the body. So manifestation is more so you work with the somatics, you work with the feelings that you're feeling, the thoughts you're having, and the body sensations that you're having, all of it. And if it can pass through the entire thing, then that's the truth. Then it's squeaky clean. And then it can make it to God, Mother Nature, Source, the universe, wherever you've sent it. But until, well, your body blocks it, it's still a human experience. And while it's a human experience, it'll always feel like you've got to do something about it. You've got to work harder. You got to push more. You got to try more. You got to talk more. You got to sell more. You got to do more. You got to be more. And you're not enough. And it's always going to feel that because your body's going to tell you no.
What is the difference between you've got to do more and creating an environment where you can allow the emotion to, or the energy to move through you? Is that still not doing?
Well, allowing feels like letting whatever has to be done do itself. Allowing is like, if I say to you, can you make me, a, how's the right way to say it? If I say to you, I want a cup of tea, and you say to me, okay, go make one, and I say, okay, that's different than if you say, would you allow me to make you one? Allowing means I allow it. I allow it to be made. The other one is I make it. And so there's still something inside of me that needs to change, but that's more my processing than my pushing. And for a lot of us, and this is the work I like to do with my clients, especially like lately, I've attracted really, really, really wise souls into my world that really want to have an incredible life, in all the ways. And the conversations we've been having have been everything I've always dreamed of, really, in mentorship. But the feeling that I get is this feeling of, I want this thing, and I'm afraid that if I don't do it myself, I won't get it. Like that, and that's the feminine that's missing. And so I can't allow, because who's going to do it? And who's going to do it as well as me? And how do I know for sure it's going to happen? And so I'll do it because that's the only way I can trust it'll get done, which means I don't trust in God, Mother Nature, the universe, source. I don't trust, because if I trusted, it wouldn't be so hard to allow. And the other part of that is the receiving. Allowing is receiving. It's saying, instead of you going making your cup of tea, do you allow me to make you one? That means it's just going to show up for you and you just need to receive it. And for a lot of us, and especially for women, it's difficult because we've been conditioned for so long that you need to do something in order to be allowed to receive. Like, have you done enough? Have you done enough for me that you can do something in return? Like, have I offered you a house, a bed? Have I made you a meal? Why are you making me a cup of tea? Have I done enough for you to be making me a cup of tea? How am I deserving of this? And so the receiving is connected to the allowing, is connected to the surrender, is connected to the trust. It's all the feminine thread. And the doing is connected to the confidence in self and the capacity and the ability, which are still also very good. It's just when we rely fully on that, we don't get a full experience, and we definitely don't get to tap into manifestation the way it can be.
It's interesting because as I was listening to you, what the distinction that I heard between the allowing and the doing is that when we're in this space of allowing, there's already an acceptance of that it's already done, it's already mine, it's already on its way, and how quickly can I give myself permission to receive it? Like, I can allow you to do that for me. I can allow that to be in my space. I can allow the love, like I'm a match for the love, I'm a match for the money, I'm a match for the fun already. And so it's just, I don't need to do anything for that. I just need to open myself up to receiving.
Yeah. And a lot of trust.
And a lot of trust. And there is a distinction between, well, there's a line. At least this is my experience, and I am an established manifestor. I've manifested many great things in my life, and you have manifested on a whole nother level. So I'm going to share my thoughts, and then I would love to hear yours. One of the phrases that has made me famous is faith plus action equals miracles. When I'm teaching on that affirmation now, I make the distinction between action and aligned action. And sometimes aligned action is sitting down and meditating. It is pulling a card. It is going out and dancing in the rain, as opposed to forcing and pushing and making it happen, which is probably was the energy behind that word when I first started saying it. It was like, you do it. Now it's the aligned action is much more intuition based, and it's much more working with your team, your guide, your spirit, in terms of what is the next best step. But there is a meeting of the universe, whether it's halfway, 10% of the way, there's a meeting. Energetically, we have to do or be something in order to receive the miracle. And so I'm curious about your thoughts on that faith plus action piece for you in terms of the way that you have created. Because when I watch you, you're not sitting on your ass and just being like, okay, now I am going to manifest multiple millions and thousands of clients, and you did some stuff.
Oh, yeah. So this is such a good question. I love these conversations. I love you. Okay, there's a million things coming to my mind right now. So the first thing is this. When we're saying faith plus action equals miracles, action means so many things. Because if I break it down energetically, because it's a fantastic word, but it means so much more than the word. So if you think about it, action means not action. Action means the way you do the action. Action means by when you do the action. Action means by how long you're able to handle not taking action. It means everything. So I'll give you an example, and you'll see in your body how this goes. So if I want a cup of tea, this is the perfect example. I want a cup of tea, and I decide the best way for me to do it is to go and to get it myself.
Yeah.
That is like, I don't need faith. I have action. I'm holding a cup of tea. That is not a miracle. That is a cup of tea. Okay. Now, if I say, I, be- I believe that someone else could make me a cup of tea. And so when you say, Melanie, can I make you a cup of tea? I allow it. And so I say, yes, Susie, you can make me a cup of tea. But then I watch you like a hawk, like you're going to mess it up somehow.
Yeah.
And you end up saying, would you like to do it yourself? And I say, yeah, maybe. And then I make it myself. And then I have a cup of tea. That's also not a miracle. Then if you say, would you like to do it yourself? And I say, no, it's okay. And you say, all right. And then you finish doing it and you give me the cup of tea and I watch the whole thing happen and I've got a cup of tea in my hand. That's also not a miracle. If I say, Susie, I want a cup of tea, and you say, would you allow me to make it for you? And I say, okay. And then I go sit in the living room, and then all of a sudden a cup of tea comes into my hand. It's not a miracle, but it's still much less work for me than when I was staring you down in the kitchen.
Yeah.
Then there's also the possibility of I walk into your house, and I have faith that every time I come in and I ask for a cup of tea, and maybe actually there's already, the tea's already on, the kettle's on already. And then I walk into your house and you pour a cup of tea right there and you give it to me. Well, then we're getting closer to a miracle now.
Yeah.
And so what starts to happen in life is that then all of a sudden you'll go to the coffee shop and you'll order your tea and you'll get to the window and they'll say the person ahead of you just bought it for you. So how detached can you be? And so what's important here and why this is difficult, and I want to acknowledge that this is difficult, is that there are so many things that we want now. And so there is a very big difference between what you're manifesting for your life and what you're trying to create now. Why I think I really have managed to manifest in such a big way is that I really have surrendered to the time frame. And I don't know if you remember this in our time together, but we used to talk about this a lot about how I don't do the whole, I need to make this much in a month or I need to make this much in a year. Like I don't do the goal thing. I do an energetic projection of the next thing I'd love to feel. And then I have faith that whenever it's meant to land in my reality, it's going to. And the aligned action I take is a mix between the actions that I feel are correct at their best for me and for my clients, mixed with the non-action that would come in if I were to try to push and make it happen because I didn't trust the universe. I could do 5 more masterclasses. I could send 17 more emails. I could run ads. I could do a million things to try to push it. Or there's also are you also not doing the things that would be showing proof that you don't believe? And so it's that beautiful mix of both. When I take action, I say, what is the absolute greatest thing I can do for myself, for my business, for my community? What's the best move? And I really will do that best move. And if that best move is not meant to bring in tons of business, well, maybe it brought in tons of people. And later on, when the timing is right, those people will turn into business. And I have had to have so much faith about that. And I feel like what's missing for a lot of people is they're not really ready to experience it not happening yet. So let's imagine this. I'm in bed and I say to Kevin, I'd love a cup of tea. And he says, yes, of course. I'm in the bedroom and he's outside. And this is taking way longer than I think it should to receive my cup of tea. And I'm like, he forgot me. He's not making my cup of tea. There's no way. What's he doing? And so I get up out of bed and I go to the kitchen and I say, where's my cup of tea? He's holding it in the kitchen. He's like, I was coming with it. That's what we do so often. It's been way too long. It's not coming. Something's wrong. And so it's our relationship with faith that needs to be strengthened. It's our ability to trust that things are coming, even though the timing isn't exactly what we wanted. And it's our ability to really take care of our bodies and the reaction that it has when it's impatient and scared and stressed. That's the key. And where this gets cloudy and muddy is a lot of people want to start with manifestation before their needs are met. And so then they're constantly doing this time thing of like, well, yeah, it sounds great, Melanie, but except I've got my rent to pay at the end of this month. And so they can't stay in the frequency because there's too much on the line.
Oh, you've just said a trillion things. Okay, so first of all, how frequently do you ask the question, like, what is the greatest thing I can do for me, for my business, for my community, for like how frequently do you ask that question? Is it a daily thing? Is it a quarterly thing? Is it multiple times a day?
It's as soon as the thing that I had done before is complete. Because I say the best time to do something extraordinary is on the back end of a masterpiece. So I'll have the thought, what's the best thing I can do for myself or my community? And then I do that with all of my heart. And then when I've done it and I'm celebrating it, it's like, okay, what's the next thing I can do for myself and my community? It
Okay,
usually
I
comes
really
because
like that.
while I'm doing the greatest thing, I'm not thinking of another thing. I'm fully doing that thing.
I like that. There was one example with the tea that you missed out on that I feel like
Do
I
it.
just need to presence. When you ask for the tea and you get the tea, but when you taste the tea, you're like, oh, this is shit. I I'm like, I'm thinking about Tilda, who works for me, and she doesn't make a good cup of tea. But I'm curious
Bless her.
about your opinion on how that impacts the rest of your creation or allowing when it comes to miracles. If when you get the thing, you're a bit like, meh.
Mm. Well, there's a couple of thoughts that come to mind at first. The first one is, did I really ask for what I wanted properly? And so sometimes when we're manifesting, we think we know what we want, but we ask things that are not specific to us. Like I remember when I first started manifesting and I was asking for success. Well,
Yeah,
that doesn't look the same to everybody.
yeah,
And I can really say that I received success. And when I drank it, I thought, well, that's not right. That's not, that can't, I don't think that that's what I meant, you know? And so then it's saying, okay, let me really put my order in differently and saying this is exactly how I want it. And
yeah,
it's refining it. It only makes sense that sometimes people won't get it right because they'll make it for you the way they would make it for themselves. And
yeah,
sometimes God, Mother Nature, the universe will give you a universally asked for thing because you haven't personalized your desire. And so
yeah,
this many people are asking for this kind of success, and I enter the frequency, I enter the field of asking for that same success, except I'm in alignment with it. I'm going to receive the collective desire, but it's not refined yet. And so I then have to refine it the way that I want. We see this so often. We hear it all the time. People who are like, I really got it and I got the thing I wanted, but then I got burnt out. Or, but then I realized this. Or, so now it's like, okay, so don't hate what you received, refine it.
okay. And then you said something at the end, which I really want to go deeper on. You
Okay.
said people start wanting to manifest before they have their basic needs met.
Yes.
Now, when I talk about, I don't talk about manifestation actually as much as what people sometimes think I do. I much prefer to talk about receiving. But what I believe
Mm-hmm.
actually is true of both is that we are in a constant state of receiving. Infinite receiving is not something that you can turn off, but it is something that you can be conscious about. And I feel like it's the same with manifestation. We're constantly creating, our response to whatever happens in the present moment is creating the next step in our reality. So we're constantly manifesting, and it's just how conscious are we being? Now, with your story, like you said, I hit my rock bottom, and you created a scenario that was, you were bankrupt, you were sleeping in your car, like it was the worst of
It
the
was bad.
worst, comparatively. And you made a conscious decision to start creating a new reality. Now, at that point in time, you would argue that your needs were not being met. So, how did you manage to consciously create, manifest, even not even where you are now, but those next levels when your basic needs really weren't being met?
So, to dive into this part of the conversation, I want to preface it by saying that this conversation requires an immense amount of emotional intelligence because
Can I just, Melanie,
I,
sorry to interrupt
yes,
you, but can you just push your headphone in a little bit because I'm losing sound?
does that look better?
Yeah.
Okay. So, this conversation requires a lot of emotional intelligence, like a lot. And I'm happy to go there, but there's something I need to really say is that a lot of people bet on manifestation instead of study it. And I've seen in my life people listen to the words that I'm saying and either get so entirely triggered by it because they don't understand it, or try it on like a gamble and get real mad when it doesn't work. And so you might need to listen to this a lot. You might need to study this work. You might need to listen to this a lot because it's not just about, oh, this person who's done it says this is how it is, and so I do it, and then it worked or it didn't. That's not how this works. You've got to really find your truth because the strongest frequency on earth is the frequency of truth. So here's the thing. When I lost all the things in my life and everything went wrong, I was not trying to make ends meet. I was not trying to get my needs met. I was way past that. Trying to get my needs met was when I had an apartment that needed the rent paid by Friday. It was when my credit card company was saying, I need you to pay your bill by this date. That actually was more stressful than I've lost everything, believe it or not. There was a sense of peace that came with, I've already lost it. It's too late. It's gone. I can't, there is no hurry. Where am I hurrying to? There's nowhere to go. I've gone this many days without food. What's another week? I've gone this long without sleeping in a bed. What's another week? What's the worst that's gonna happen? Like I'm gonna die and then what? It's the end, and then maybe I'd be relieved about that. So who cares? Like it got to that point where there were no needs I was trying to meet. And I feel like this is something that was a gift for me because it's ended up being able to help me teach things from such a real solid place where I'm trying to explain to people the most difficult place you'll ever be in is the one where you're racing to fulfill a commitment. That's the worst. And so if you've got kids, if you've got bills to pay, those things are like gnawing at you. You can't just say, okay, well, I surrender. It feels like that sometimes. You can't just say I surrender. It's like I can't surrender. I've got bills to pay. I've got needs that need to be met. And so when you're in that place, there's manifestation and there's also co-creation, and both the things matter. And so although I do think manifestation and receiving go hand in hand, I think that manifestation, the way it's often taught, is that it's an absolute out of nowhere miracle. And so the way I teach is like the field of predictability, possibility, and potentiality. I don't see miracles as only happening in one field because I feel like when you're really in tune and you're really aware, miracles can happen in all the fields. But it feels like a miracle when it comes out of nowhere. And that's what people expect. So a lot of people will do manifestation and be like, I'm manifesting a $10,000 thing. And if it was in any way, when I receive it, if I can trace back how it was somehow predictable, it's not a miracle to me anymore. If once I receive it, I realize it actually was possible, I just hadn't thought about it, I discredit it as a miracle also. It has to be, it made no sense. I was walking down the street and there was $10,000 in a bag on the floor. Like that's the only way I'm going to say that it's a miracle.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's the thing we need to refine. And so when I say the reason people struggle to manifest is because they've got needs they need to be met, is because they can't surrender fully to a miracle because they can't leave it up to a miracle, not the way that they experience miracles. It has to feel like they're still looking at the person pouring the tea. They've got to be looking at least. They've got to keep an eye on it because they can't just go sit down and wait for it. Because if it doesn't come, it'll be their fault and they cannot live with that. So in that case, we've got to refine receiving, which is different than manifestation because you can be receiving in the field of predictability and possibility with a lot more ease in your body. And what that feels like is very simply, would you like me to make you a cup of tea? Yes, I allow you to make it. Maybe I watch you make the whole thing. Maybe I say, a little more milk. Maybe I say things, but I still allow you to make it. That's the beginning of receiving, is allowing someone to even try to help and to support. And so where people get stuck, I think, in the beginning phases is that they won't let anybody in. They don't trust anything, they don't trust anyone, and they won't let anybody in. And that's like, I can't handle any failure. There's no room for failure. And where the maturity comes in is like, there's so much room for failure. Please don't need to find out. Let
I want
yourself leave space for things not to go the way you wanted.
I would love to bring this specifically into business, because I know that there are going to be a lot of people listening to this who are like, okay, I have not reached the bottom of the bottom of the bottom, but I am in this space of, I need to pay my fucking bills, I need to pay my coach, I need a miracle. So this is the interesting place, because there are people that need to get their needs met and they're on the edge. Like, they don't know whether they are or they're not. They need, and for those of you who are not watching this, I'm doing inverted commas, they need a miracle. They want a miracle. And this is where the languaging and the energetics, I think, again becomes so obvious why people say we don't use the word need, we don't use the word want. It's because when we're using those words need and want, when we're in that space of not getting our needs met, we are only in the frequency of lack. We are only in the energy of scarcity, like, ugh. So you say that it starts with the ask and the noticing and the receiving. I would love for you to talk on the request, because like I say, when you're in that space of not getting your needs met, the request is, give me a fucking miracle. Give me a miracle, please, God, now. How do we get to refine this so that, and again, it's this dance of, when you're in that space, you want to be in control. And yet we know when it comes to receiving and when it comes to manifesting, actually our ability to release the need to control is what often collapses the timeline and allows us to receive what it is that we desire more quickly. So I can't stop talking because I feel like there's so much in what it is that you just said.
This is
So I'm
such a
just
good
going to give you the
conversation.
floor. What are you picking out of this?
Well, I don't know if you can feel this, and I'd actually be curious if the people listening to this can feel this. But when you say, I need a miracle, what you're really saying is, I give up. Because it means I don't believe that I've also got this.
Yeah.
And so this is the difference when you start to worry, when you're in bed and it feels like the tea isn't coming, you don't start to panic, because you know that in the worst case, you'll just get your butt up and go get yourself a cup of tea.
Yeah.
But the reason we panic when we're talking about manifestation is because we get to that point where we're like, I don't think I'm capable of doing this. And so if a miracle doesn't come, we're done.
Yeah.
I've given up. And when you give up, the miracle isn't coming.
Yeah.
And this is why it's so difficult, is because you have to be connected to the thing that you want without putting it down, while surrendering to the belief that it's coming without picking it up, both at the same time. And we're not
How?
good at that. I know. So there's this line, and when I say it, if you can imagine it, if you can just really be with this feeling, this void, this little space in between, see if you can feel it in your body. I'm going to repeat it. You've got to be committed to the thing happening without picking it up. And you've got to know that it's going, you can't do it yourself and you can't put it down at the same time. So you can't pick it up and you can't put it down. Where is it then? You're committed to it happening, but you're detached from the outcome of time. You're devoted to this happening, but you're not going to make it happen. Where is that? And I'm pretty sure if you listen, it's in the place where you feel anxiety that it lives. As you hear these sentences, as you're like, okay, I need to be engaged with this result and completely detached from it both at the same time. That's the place where you lose your power, where it stops making sense. It might be in your chest, it might be in your gut, it might be in your shoulders, it might be in your throat, but that's where the body block is. That's probably where the somatics need to come in. That's where the deep breaths need to come in. You know, it's the feeling of you have a newborn baby and you're letting someone you love hold the baby, and you can tell that they're awkward holding the baby, and you know if you go in to help them it'll show that you don't trust them, but if you don't go in and they do something wrong, it hurts the baby, and you're like, ah, what do I do? I don't know what's right. And this is why it requires so much maturity from us, because it really does become a question not of what's going to work, but what is right. And so when I want really big things in my life, I have to be engaged. I have to be working on those things. I have to be creating them. I have to be a part of the equation, especially if I'm calling them in for myself. It's like I'm the one. So how engaged am I? How am I connecting with these things? What does that look like for me? Well, my energy is connected to what I'm doing. I am engaged in the process. Maybe I've got a masterclass or a live stream, or I've written an email, and the way that I've done that thing is entirely engaged. Whereas where a lot of people do it is like, look, I need to just surrender. I'll write the email surrendered. I'll do the thing like I've got to detach because I can't handle the failure. So I'll do the thing in detachment instead of doing the thing with engagement. And then after that, where I'm supposed to let go and say I've done my best and I trust, that's when they're like, well, I did the thing half-assed and now I'm checking to make sure it worked. Refresh, check, look, message people. Did that person ever respond to the link? We do things inverted because we can't handle the void. The void is you do the thing at the best that you can, and then you trust people in their power, that they are capable. And if you don't trust people in their power, and even the thought of me saying that creates a feeling in your body of like, how do you trust people? You want me to, let me tell you the story about Meredith. You don't know what's happened to me. Let me tell you this awful thing that happened to me. Well, then you still have something that's stuck in your body that you're attaching to this thing, and that's the issue. And that's why the body work matters so much, and that's why if it's not moving with your mind and it's not moving with your mindset, there's something that you're protecting. You know, is it something that happened to you a while back? Is it something that happened to your parents? Is it something that happened in your lineage? Like they were faced with a bankruptcy, they lost everything, and everything in your family has been difficult since then. If you're faced with a bankruptcy, you'll paralyze. Like, I don't know how to recreate. I don't want to be responsible for this. And this is why I keep repeating maturity, because this is ultimately what it is we want the big things, but we don't want to be responsible for them. I want to be financially free, but I don't want to be responsible to create it. I want to have a multi-million-dollar company, but I don't want to be responsible for my employees or my family or my reputation or my brand or my whatever it is. Wherever the block is that you don't actually fully want the responsibility is where the dream stops. And you've got to be with it. And that does require emotional maturity that we're not really taught to have. Like most people, when you think of it, they're born into this world. They learn things based on their background of what they need to do, you know, whether they need to figure themselves out to get on the school bus, to get to a school, to figure out how to learn when they maybe are not the best at the learnings, and they've got to figure out how to navigate having siblings and helping their parents out, and they've got to learn to make food at home, and they've got to learn to feed themselves, and then they need to learn to navigate the internet and a phone, and then maybe get themselves to work, and then maybe do a job. But it's those very people one day that get this calling out of nowhere that's like, you're also supposed to change the world. It's like, I don't have the education for this. No one has taught me how to do that. No one has shown me how to do that. I have no examples of that. I want it, and I can't get rid of the feeling of wanting it, but I don't even know how to be responsible for that. And there's a whole journey that comes with it, a whole journey of stretching and of surrendering and of trust. And it's like, no matter how frustrated you might be with what you're going through right now, and you might think you can't make it through this week or this month and you want to give up, if you're meant for this, it's never going to give up on you. It's going to find you. Give yourself 10 years, you'll be right back in it. Like, there is no quitting on a mission like this. This is just not happening. So can you give yourself the space Give yourself a decade. Calm down, relax, figure it out. You've got big things to do. Like
Yeah.
grow grow up. Grow up. Give yourself time to grow up.
I think also, because I know that people will be listening to this and they'll be asking the question, the famous question of, but how, but how? And I think that when you go back to the beginning, this is the invitation, like, what is the greatest thing for me, for my clients, for my business right now? That's the question that you get to ask yourself. What do you think has to happen in order for you to get to the truth of that answer? Is it even possible to get to the truth of that answer if you are layered with stress?
I think you can get to the truth of that answer, but it requires you to sit with the part in your body that you're trying to avoid. And so most people won't. Even though they could, they won't. The answer doesn't always feel good. And I've worked with so many people over the course of my career. I've worked with manifestation coaches that make six figures a year and teach manifestation at the six-figure a year mark, and it's so different than the people who are wanting to manifest $1 million or $10 million or to build something that's going to impact the world when it's no longer just about money. Because for some people, it's really just about the money. I want to make six figures. I don't care if I make six figures selling matches. I want to make six figures. For others, it's like, I want to build a legacy that supports me in making multi-millions of dollars a year. Those are very different dreams. They require different skills from you. And so there's also the question of like, are you trying to push a dream that's supposed to take you 10 years to build into a financial situation you need fixed by Friday?
Mm.
There, is there something else you could be doing? Is there another thing that you could be doing as well as what you're doing that could support you in dealing with what's going wrong this Friday? Because you can't just push your entire life mission into a calendar because you've got bills to pay. It just doesn't work that way. The big missions there for me, for you, for us, they're supported. It's like the more people it has the potential of helping, the stronger the support you'll receive from the universe. If it's all about saving your butt and making your visa payment, it's not going to have the same result. The universe supports the dreams that touch the collective. You need to dream bigger, or you need to find something that's going to fix your financial situation without pretending it's for the world. That's the
Mm.
truth.
The harsh truth.
Yeah,
Like,
because I've seen this. It's like, I'm doing this for the world, except if I don't make 40K by Friday, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, well, how much of that is for the world? It's for you.
yeah,
So then be honest.
yeah, really.
So then where do you need to go? And you're so wise. You have so much wisdom, so much connection. You might realize like, whoa, you know what would really be helpful for the world is if I led something to talk about how, what if I went and studied then how to hold my body in peace when I also am experiencing fear of debt, for example? What if I go and get a somatic training? What if I go and work with someone that can help me do this and I can learn and I take a training on how to do this and I actually help people hold the stress? Not manifest millions of dollars when I'm in debt and I'm stressed. Like, how do I help people hold the feeling of stress? Would that be helpful for me, for you, for us? Oh, that would be. What are some things that actually would help me right now, but not just me? I think that's where so many people flop in the beginning is that they say they want to do something for the world because it's true, but the thing that they're supposed to do for the world might take them a decade to learn to do properly. And before they're willing to actually be ready to do that, they want their needs to be met now. Well, that's not the truth. The truth is, I need my needs to be met now, and I'm on a journey of doing something that's going to be great for the world eventually.
Yeah.
But these are different questions.
I would love for us to shift gear a little bit because
Yeah.
you have been full on in teaching mode, which I adore. And I am also super curious because when we worked together, interestingly, you had many initiations and there were many tough periods. And what I know of you is that the level of personal power, which is something that you teach on, and internal strength that you have needed to have in order to get through those moments in time is really quite incomparable. For me, for what I've seen in the coaching industry. And I am curious as to what do you think that those initiations and those tough times, and without kind of going into all of the details, but like ultimately people trying to cancel you. And when you have a platform as big as you have, when somebody wants to cancel you, it's a lot. What do
Yeah.
you think that though that experience and the experiences surrounding that time were preparing you for now? Or do you still not know?
Well, what I've always known is that I'm supposed to lead change. That I've always known. I'm supposed to lead change in a very powerful way. And leaders are bridges, and bridges are tested. So if I decide I want to be a bridge for people to change, and I have the emotional bandwidth and capacity to serve 4 people, well, my bridge only needs to be able to be strong enough to hold 4 people. And so one snowfall in the winter would be able to test that bridge. But once I become a highway, a transatlantic highway, and I want to be able to have the whole world be able to pass on this bridge, the level of testing is very different. And so leaders are bridges, and bridges are tested to make sure that the people who pass on them will actually have a solid thing. Like, it can't be that when people walk on my bridge that if I crumble, they fall. It can't. And so I get tested before the next level of strength. I get tested before the next wave of people are going to pass on the bridge of my leadership. And so what I really feel is that I I both speak in a lot of idealism and realism. It's like an artful balance of idealism and realism. What I believe the sky isn't even the limit of what we're capable of. And I also will smack down truths that make people so pissed off at me that they don't want to listen to me anymore because they're like, no, this other person on the internet tells me it's supposed to be easy. So why are you saying this to me? And I'm like, okay, but I also have mentored that person on the internet. Like, I know what we're doing. I know what we're doing here. Like, it's more marketable that it's easy, but then call me later when it isn't, and then I'll have your back. And it's like I just believe in people, and I believe in the bigness of who we are, but I also think we need to just like grow up. Like, there's a lot of emotional maturity that needs to happen because our little dreams are actually big dreams, and we don't realize it in the minute. It feels like it should just be easy. Like, I should just be able to get there. It's so simple. But there's a whole emotional journey. There's a whole spiritual awakening. In order to be able to do the kinds of things that most people want to do, they don't even know what they're asking for. And so they've got to be stretched. There's initiations galore. And it's like people aren't ready for that. And then they think they're not good enough. And it's like, that's not what that means. If I make a bridge that's meant to walk 10,000 people on it, and when we do the weight test, it cracks, I don't just ditch the bridge there and say I wasn't good enough. I say, oh God, thank God 10,000 people didn't walk on that. What supports do we need? How do we fix this before the 10,000 people can pass on it? Like, we need to woman up. Like, this is a big deal, or it's not a big deal, and then you have no business doing this in the first place, and then people get mad at me for saying that. But it's like, either it's in your business to do this in the first place, and then you are going to become the greatest version of you've ever been, and it's gonna take some effort, and it's gonna take some resilience, and it's gonna take some strength and some womanhood. Like, you're gonna have to grow up, or you don't want to be cut out for this, then you move on, and that's okay. But I feel like there are some harmful conversations about manifestation and what it is, and people saying things that are just like, that's not quite accurate. That's just not. And then everyone thinks if it's not easy for them, they're not good enough. Like, that's not it. It's that you're not ready. That's so different. Can you imagine a small child every time they can't walk? It's like, okay, well, you're just not good enough. You're not walking, you're not good enough. Oh, you can't talk, you're not good enough. You can't hold your mug, you're not good enough. You can't hold a pencil, you're not good enough. You can't write your name yet, you're not good enough. What if they just needed a year? But you can't just never be good enough. But that's how all human beings relate to themselves when something isn't working. That's a little kid way of seeing things. I can't do it. I'm not good at that. It's like, practice. Give yourself a minute. What are you doing? You're giving up before you've even started, and you've got the weight of the world on this goal. You're giving up before you started.
Were there ever times that you doubted yourself in the last couple of years?
What I doubted was whether or not, because the other part of this is I actually believe that we have the choice. And I don't think every single person on the planet has to be a person that impacts the whole world. Like, I think leadership is something that you can learn just to lead your family properly. Like, I don't think everybody has these big missions, but I think that you will be tested in your mission to make sure this is really what you want and it's not an ego thing and it's not and we are allowed at any point to say, I don't know if I actually do want this. Maybe, maybe I don't. We are allowed to check. And there are a couple of times where I ask myself, like, do I really want this? Because I could work for any company and just be like the greatest thing since sliced bread. I could be the CEO of any company and take care of employees and focus on the sales and the company culture. Like, do I need to stand for the whole freaking world? Do I need to put myself? Because this is the thing I've realized, when you are working with people, you tend to attract an energetic match, mostly of people that are like you. When I was making a few $1,000,000 a year, maybe up to like $10 million a year, it was like the people that were finding me were always finding me through other people that were also a match. And so there wasn't much duality because everyone was finding me through other people. This only became an issue when I hit the world. When you hit the world, you hit the divide. And the divide is in everything that reaches the world: politics, religion, famous artists, political stances, preferences in music, preferences in whatever. Like, as soon as it's something that the whole world could respond to, you hit the divide, which is a minimum of 50-50, or sometimes it's like all split of all kinds of percentages of people who prefer other things. But that split is a very difficult thing. Because once you hit the world, you get met with 50% of the planet won't like what you do, who you are, what you stand for, how you look, what you do. Like that, it's non-negotiable that that's going to happen. And that's a very difficult thing for a person to experience. So the only thing I've ever wondered was when I hit that split, when it started feeling like I had touched the world and it wasn't just my people anymore. It was people who didn't have any business knowing me, stumbling upon me just because the internet does what it's got to do, that I wondered, oh, do I want this? But when I asked myself that, and I didn't give myself a definite, I need to know this by tomorrow, and I surrendered, and I said, the answer to this question will come. If I'm asking it, it's because I want to know the answer, and the answer will come. And after that question, something really special happened. It's like I had a very big shift in my business. First of all, the demographic of my business changed a lot. My clients in age have completely changed. In the last few years, like the early stages, all my clients were in their early 20s to early 30s. And now I've got a much richer tapestry and diverse age range in my business. It feels like what happened is I got a lot more women that already had money come into my world instead of the people who put money on a pedestal, because I feel like the work that I do it requires a lot of wisdom, and it's difficult to touch our wisdom when we're chasing something. When we can be easily distracted by something, we're not in our presence. And so in the beginning, I attracted a lot of people who were easily distracted by their need for money. Whereas now I have people who've achieved the money and realized the things I'm talking about, like they get what I'm saying. And so in these conversations, the money is expanding, but so is everything else. And I'm finding that this is the people I was supposed to be talking to all along. The ones that weren't coming to me just to rub off on a little bit of magic, to prove that manifestation works or doesn't work. The people that I'm really working with now are the ones who are like, how great can this be and how big can this go? And thank you for existing so that I have someone to look up to. And that is what I've been waiting for without knowing that it even existed. You know, for the longest time it was inspiring people and motivating people and showing people what was possible. And I feel like that was the question, like, do I want to continue doing this? I didn't want to continue doing that. I did that for a long time, and I'm so grateful for all the people that I've helped. And that's not, I think the level of conversation I bring to the table lands more when people already understand what they're capable of, because it is a very tough conversation to listen to when you're struggling.
Yeah.
It's a frustrating conversation. It's like the teenager and the wise grandmother, you know, like, you don't get me. You don't know what you're talking about. But it's like, wait, give yourself a few years and you'll be going, gosh, that woman was wise. Just give me a minute, give me time, give you time, give us time and come back, because I know what I'm doing, and I just needed to be doing it for the right people. That was the issue.
Where did the faith piece come in to that decision or that allowing for you? Because yeah, the question is how did you know? But you didn't know. So when did you choose? At what point
During
did
the
you
hard parts, or
choose
like at the
faith?
beginning?
The hard part.
There was always faith. There was faith. There had to be faith every step of the way, or I wouldn't have even received the hard part. The hard part is an answer to a question. It's the test to, is the bridge ready?
Ooh. The, the reason I respond like that is because that is like you are asking a huge question.
Hmm.
You are asking a huge question. Okay, so what I would love for you to do is, because again, there are so many people who are in the messy middle right now. Their
Yeah,
bridges being tested right now. What did you need to
yeah.
do on a daily basis to cultivate, one, faith, and two, your personal power to deal with the shit and know that on the other side there was a phoenix rising?
Okay, this is going to be triggering. And also I need to preface this with the fact that we are talking now, like, this is not just for people who are going through a typical, like, I need to pay my mortgage or I might get in trouble. You know, like, this is now like a huge, you know, hundreds of thousands of people, you know, it's such a big, I got myself into a big place. And so the question was big, but the situation was big. You know, in smaller places, but even then, okay, I'm going to just say the triggering thing. Here's the fact. The real truth is, for me, I'm like, the worst thing that's going to happen is I'm going to die. That's really the worst thing that's going to happen. And if that's supposed to happen, then it will. And so, can I just can I just do what I'm supposed to do here and just trust that there's a reason that I'm crazy enough to want this stuff? Can I just trust that there's a reason that I know what I know, that I do what I do, that I've been given the people I've been given, can I just trust it all? And if I'm not supposed to do this and I'm not supposed to continue, I also trust that, and I don't need the answer by Friday. It's like, people want an answer by Friday. Stop needing an answer by Friday. Am I supposed to do this work? What's the truth? And can I give universal time to come in? Like, can I just breathe? Yeah, but what if I don't make the answer, and what if things happen? Well, then what if things happen? What's going to happen? It all falls apart. Okay, and then it all falls apart, and then what happens? And then I'm sleeping in my car again. Okay, and then what happens? I run out of food and I run out of everything. Okay, and then what happens? I die. Well, there you go then. That's it? That's it. Or it all falls apart and then I realize I want to do something else and I actually had another vocation and it needed to fall apart. Or it doesn't fall apart and I find another way. Or it's like, that's where the surrender has to come. It's like, we're not willing to find out what's going to happen. And that's why people really don't really have the faith they swear they have.
The reason that this is so triggering is because people will listen to this and be like, well, it's okay for you because you already made your money, and if this all falls apart, you never have to work again. Whereas I, right now, am worried that I am going to lose my home. And one,
I'd love to
you
answer
already
that.
did that. One, you
No, but I'd
already.
like to answer that because that is
Okay,
not true.
okay, go, go,
So
go.
this is another problem of why I think a lot of people haven't yet become successful is because they still put money on a pedestal. If you believe that having made X amount of money makes it that you just have all the money, then you don't even understand what you're building. Because I have 20 employees that I care about and that I take care of. I'm financially responsible for my entire family. My sister is on maternity leave with her newborn baby. My brother with his son and his daughter and his wife. Like I take care of my parents. I take care of everybody. And I have not just Alpha Femme. I have other businesses. I have buildings. I have all kinds of things. But like if I stopped receiving cash in tomorrow and still needed to be making $100,000 payments on buildings, you think I'd just be like, "Oh, it's easy"? Like this is a thought that people have before they've ever understood what they would do with the money once they were wealthy. This is a thought that they have without even thinking of the responsibility of employees. This is again the pedestal of it's easy for the rich people. It sure freaking isn't. And probably because you believe that, you're not becoming wealthy. Because on the day that you actually have the maturity to understand it will be more complicated for you once you're rich and you're willing for that to happen, the money will come. Until then, you're easy struggling at the level you are because you just imagine rich means easy. You're better off where you are if that's what you think. I promise you that.
I'm laughing because I'm like, now we did give the caveat. We don't use the word trigger warning on this podcast, but if we
Oh, I
did,
didn't know that.
yeah, no, if we did, we kind of gave it before. But actually, what you just said was the most triggering thing, and
Yeah.
I'm smiling because this is how you. This is. This is why you do what you do and why you're so amazing at what it is that you lay it down straight. And I think that one, you just gave it real, and that's super important. And the point that I want to make is for the person who is listening to this, who feels like the deadline is real, not just feels, but their experience of if I do not hit this deadline, there are going to be serious consequences. What I hear you saying is that when you break it down and you take it all away, the worst thing, and we don't even know that it's the worst thing, by the way, in my opinion, but the
That's
worst
true.
thing that is going to happen is that you die.
Yep.
So, so therefore, even if you lose the house, it's not the worst thing. Even if you end up living
Yep.
in your car, it's not the worst thing. Even if you have to ask for government help, it's not the worst thing. And the reason it's really challenging is that the pedestaling, and really it's the self-judgment. Like, what will people think of me if I lose all of this? What will I think of myself if I lose all of the things that I have for my entire life said are important? What if I lose all of the external things that I've said are successful? Like, I can't bear that, so I'm going to grip. I am going to grip onto this identity so freaking hard that there's no space for a miracle in that gripping. And it's really, if you can let go and say, well, the worst thing that happens, I will be able to deal with losing my home. I will be able to deal with food stamps. I will be able to deal with asking for support. I will be able to deal with it all. If you can get into that space of surrender, that's when you get to, you you create space for something new creative thinking, a
Because
new
you
idea.
have to be doing that, and at the same time, you have to be entirely engaged with the thing that you're actually doing. Because the part that I think is the most triggering is people listening to this and they're like, this is ridiculous what these girls are saying. They're saying invest in yourself, believe in yourself. And also, like, if you go bankrupt and you lose everything, that's okay. Like, it's not okay. Are you crazy? I know, but that's not it. It's that in order for you to really be free and clear and squeaky clean, you've got to understand what the truth is. And the truth is that you've decided to go for something that most people will not go for. And there is a reason most people don't go for it. It's because it's crazy. But there is an extraordinary life on the other side of it. Most people never touch the life that you're trying to build. And so if it's inside of you to want it, it's inside of you to create it. But you've got to stop being afraid every step of the way, because at the end of the day, you need all your strength in order to trust and to take action, aligned action, and to do what you've got to do. And so if at the back of your mind, the insecurities about what might go wrong are actually the things that you focus on the most, that's the truth. And the strongest frequency is the frequency of truth. So the truth needs to become, if this didn't work out, I'd be fine. And the truth needs to be, this is going to work out. I know it, both at the same time. And that's the truth that will make it work. But you've got to have the maturity to say, I know this is wild and I'm taking risks. Because the simple, non-risky thing to do is not my life, and I know that. But I take responsibility for everything that could go wrong. I know that. I make peace with that. I get that. Not, it will never happen, it can't happen, oh my gosh. Don't do that. You're taking a risk. You know in your soul that you're supposed to. So woman up. You know you're supposed to do this. So woman up. You know you're supposed to do this. Now what else? Then there's the dream. There's the world you're going to get to see. There's the adventures you're going to get to go on. There's the memories most people can't dream of that you're going to get to experience. There's the love that you'll get to feel that's beyond what most people will ever feel in their lives. There's the magic. There's the miracles. There's the reason that you want to do this. That's the truth. And so only when you can hold the full truth of this is how bad it could get and this is how good it could get, and I'm completely committed and also entirely surrendered at the same time, and I'm in, and I've got this, and I'm either building a bridge or testing the bridge, and building the bridge and testing the bridge, and building the bridge and testing the bridge, because I'm the one. If you're not there, then it's going to feel hard. It's going to feel like, but what if this happens? I wish I could believe this, but what if this happens? I wish I could believe this, but what if this happens? And that doesn't build anything.
Yeah.
That's what's the point in building the bridge? What if it breaks? What's the point of building the bridge? What if it breaks? Instead of build the bridge, test the bridge, build the bridge, test the bridge. So what's necessary here is instead of avoiding what could be, you make peace with what could be, both the difficult part and the incredible part, and you go for it. Because you either want to do this or you don't, and you're the only person who knows that. But you've got to grow up and you've got to boss up and you've got to recognize that it takes a lot of courage to do this. And courage comes with, I know I can make it and I know I can survive if I don't. It's both. We're not looking for ego, cocky, I'm the best, I've got this, because then the minute you have one failure, you feel like you can't tell anybody and you feel ashamed and embarrassed. And this is where everyone is failing, by the way, in personal development. It's in the shame. Every single person I've ever experienced in my career that fell off in an ugly way could not handle their shame. The shame that they didn't pop as fast as the others. The shame that their investment didn't pay off as fast as they maybe told their partner it would. The shame that they're in debt. The shame that they weren't as good as everyone else. The shame, the shame, the shame, the shame, the shame, the shame, the shame. The shame of why they made the decision, how they made the decision, the situation they're in, the fact they need to tell their parents, blah, 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 you name it. And then instead of dealing with their feelings, they look for a villain. It's nobody's fault you have big dreams. So you need to decide whether you want to go for them or not. That's your responsibility. And you're allowed to say, I have big dreams, but I'm not willing to gamble. You're allowed to say that. I wish that you wouldn't because it's such a shame, but I get it. I respect that way more than you going, I had to go for it. It was my dream, but then this person let me down and that person let me down and I failed because of somebody else. They're trying to build their own life. This is your dream. This is your job. This is your mission. You've got to realize it takes time. Give yourself time. If it's not that you're not good enough, it's that you're not ready. It's okay. Keep going. It's so big what you can do. It's huge. And the maturity is a compound effect. It's like you put your dreams in the microwave and you just let the heat compound. If you keep opening it, the heat falls, the heat falls, the heat falls. You've got to let it compound. If it takes time, let it take time. Stop doubting it. It's coming. In the worst case, if it doesn't come, you're going to be fine, but it's coming. Like, if you can get this in your body, you will be one of the strongest people on the planet. Not strong because you're pushing, strong because nothing can break you.
Yeah.
You're allowed to quit, and you're allowed to leave, and you're allowed to surrender because that it's your life. At any point, you can back down, but nothing will make you back down. You will choose on the day where you've had enough.
Mm. Yes. Melanie, what are you excited about when it comes to the Alpha Femme brand and what you have got coming up? What's bubbling?
I'm excited for everything I don't know
Mm.
because I feel like by the time I know what it is, I just feel grateful. By the time a new thing comes, like I'm grateful I'm going to be on the cover of the Goss magazine and the billboards are coming and all the things. I'm excited for that. I'm grateful for that. That's really cool. Um, I've got this mastermind that I've just started a few weeks ago with a couple, like a group of people that feel so different than any group I've ever felt before. That feels fun. That feels good. Um, I'm excited for the trajectory of the people that are in my world now. I'm excited for the angle that my brand is taking. I'm excited for the healing that came from the difficult parts where I could really see so clearly why it happened, how it happened. So that there's this strength now. Now I feel the bridge. Now people can pass on this. I'm excited for the moment I realize I need a bigger bridge, and I'm terrified of what that will mean when it's tested, but I'm also excited for who I'll become on the other side of it. It's like this is a evolution and growth over a lifetime. There's always going to be something exciting, something to be grateful for, and something to dread, and I'm just in it for all of it.
Oh, I love you so much. This has been so rich and soothing and healing, and I've just adored speaking with you. And actually, in celebration, it's almost the end. I almost ended it, but I have 6 questions that I like to ask
Okay.
all of my guests in celebration of the launch of the Infinite Receiving book. So it would
Amazing.
be terrible not to ask you those questions.
I
Um,
agree.
First one, what does infinite receiving mean to you?
It means that even when you think there's nothing more, there's always something more. It means that there's no running out. It means that you can pivot the way you're asking and something new will fall into your lap. It means the sky isn't even the limit.
Yeah. How
Yeah.
good are you at that?
I feel like I'm as good as my ego. And so as long as I don't need to be right, I'm an expert. And as long as I need security to make myself feel safe for a minute, I'm a novice, but I can be infinitely good at it. It just depends on how human I'm choosing to be in a moment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where or who in your life right now can you allow to love you just a little bit more?
My niece. She was born during the pandemic and she's very shy and sometimes I feel uncomfortable making her shy, but I feel like there's some allowing there.
Okay, beautiful. What do you think is your greatest attribute?
I believe in people.
Hmm.
Even when they give up on themselves, even when they give up on me, even when they give up on everything, I still believe.
What are you consciously manifesting right now?
The extension of what already is.
And final question, where can you allow yourself to be more supported right now? Or who?
I'm so supported. Right now is probably the most I've ever been supported, but I could actually say I'm really proud of how much I've been supported lately. Like this is the peak I've ever been supported. This has been incredible. I feel so supported. I mean, always more God, always more the universe, always more. But I feel really supported right now.
Do you know what? There's one more question that I want to ask you because I don't
Okay.
think that I have heard you in singular form reference God before. It's always been universe, angels, like whatever you think. But I've heard you
Yeah.
a few times in this interview reference specifically and singularly God, and I'm curious about that journey for you, whether how conscious that is, why now, like what's that about?
Well, I speak for people. And so my message is always intended for people to receive the transmission and to not get stopped by, oh, I don't believe in that, or I believe in that, or and so I always say God, Mother Nature, the universe, source, just so that it covers all the bases. But when you ask me a personal question, when life really broke down for me, I found myself speaking to God. I didn't I didn't speak to the universe. I called it God, whatever it was I was speaking to. And so I don't know that I imagine a white a white man with a white beard and a white cloak in the white sky, but I definitely to my own self when I pray for anything or say thank you for anything, I thank God, I pray to God. That's my word for it.
Melanie Ann Layer, I love you so deeply. I'm so grateful that you are in my life, and I'm so grateful for your service and your heart and your work and your love. And I would love for you to share with my beautiful audience where they can find more of your brilliance.
Well, I love you so much. I am so grateful for all of our time together. I'm so happy we got to have this conversation today, and I look forward to whenever we're supposed to have a next one in this lifetime. But I love you and I will love you for always. And the best way to stay connected to me is on social media, either on Instagram or on Facebook, AlphaFem or Melanie Ann Layer. That's where all of my shenanigans occur.
Amazing. I hope that you have loved this episode as much as I have. And if you have, do me a favor, please tag Melanie, tag me on social media. Let us know where your biggest breakthrough, where your moment of like, oh my God, lies. Share this episode with a friend. Like, let's just spread the juicy goodness as far and wide as possible. And in the meantime, please remember that faith plus action equals miracles.